Imagine if there were a special power, or at least a pair of glasses, through which you could know whether your partner was slapped with other. How would it feel if you could see whether, without your knowledge, they were emotionally involved with another person? In Korea, there exists a mysterious pair of glasses like this. When someone wears them and looks at another person, red lines appear above that person's head. These lines reveal how many people they have had slap with. But who created these glasses and for what purpose? Will they benefit humanity, or will they bring disaster into people's lives? To find out, let's listen to the explanation of the Korean drama S-Line. One morning, Shin Hyuk wakes up to the loud noise of car horns. Curious, he opens the window and looks outside. On the street, a neighboring girl is walking to school. A man sitting inside a car nearby calls out to her, asking her to get in. However, the girl ignores him and walks away. They are uncle and niece. The uncle, Han Ji-hyuk, works as a police officer, and the niece, Kang Seona, is a student. For some reason, Seona strongly dislikes her uncle. Shin notices a red line floating above the girl's head. Meanwhile, above Han's head, he sees many red lines. After they leave, Shin's attention shifts to the building across from him. A girl is standing there, and he can see several red lines above her head as well. When she notices Shin, she waves at him. However, Shin suffers from social anxiety and struggles to interact with people. Instead of responding, he quickly shuts the window. Now the question is, what are these red lines above people's heads? This is actually Shin's strange ability. He was born with a special power. When he looks at someone, he can tell how many close relationships that person has had. Each red line represents one relationship. Shin calls them S-lines, which stand for social, sensitive, and secret. If someone has 5 S-lines above their head, it means they have 5 people slap with. And if the S-lines of 2 people are connected to each other, it means there is a relationship between them. However, Shin considers this ability a curse. Because of it, he had to pay a heavy price in his childhood. When he was young, he noticed several S-lines above his father's head. He even saw that his father's S-lines were connected not only to his mother but also to another woman. At that time, Shin didn't understand what relationships meant. He simply drew what he saw in his sketchbook. One day, Shin's mother found the notebook. She already knew that Shin was a special child, so she quickly understood what the drawings meant. Unable to cope with the betrayal, she ended Shin's father's life and then disappeared. As a result, Shin became an orphan, entirely because of this strange power. This trauma has stayed with him ever since. He has never been able to recover from it. Desperate to escape this cursed life, Shin tried many times to end his suffering. He jumped from tall buildings and harmed himself, but nothing worked. Along with seeing S-lines, Shin also possessed a healing ability. No matter how serious the injury, it would heal within moments. It was as if he was forced to survive every time. Eventually, Shin makes a decision. He will uncover the truth no matter what. He wants to know the secret behind this strange power and whether anyone else possesses the same ability. While lost in thought, the doorbell rings. Shin looks through the peephole and sees the neighbor girl from the opposite building standing outside his door. Despite calling out repeatedly, Shin doesn't open the door. From outside, the girl says that she has recently moved into the next building and doesn't know anyone yet. She says she wants to be friends. She brought fruit for him. When Shin still doesn't respond, she leaves the fruit bag in front of his door and walks away. After she leaves, Shin brings the fruit inside and starts eating. Meanwhile, Seona goes to school and becomes a target of her classmates' anger. The girls bully her constantly. The leader of the group, Kim Hye-in, regularly demands money from her. Seona refuses. She is mistreated. Today is no different. She endures it silently. Even though her uncle Han is a police officer, she tells him nothing because she dislikes him. At the same time, Han is investigating a serious crime. During the investigation, a man wearing a helmet becomes a suspect. The previous night, a helmeted person had entered the apartment building. Han decides to track him down. The incident took place near Shin's building, but since Shin never goes outside, he knows nothing about it. That night, Shin notices that the neighbor girl has once again left fruit for him. As he eats and watches television, he learns from the news that a serious crime has occurred. On the broadcast, behind the reporter, a man wearing a helmet can be seen entering the apartment. Shin notices that the man has only one S-line above his head. In this era, having just one S-line feels very unusual to him. Later that night, Shin hears the sound of a motorcycle and looks out the window. He sees the same helmeted man entering the neighbor girl's building. The man also has only one S-line. Shin becomes suspicious and believes this man may be responsible for the crime. He quickly tries to call the police, but his phone has no battery. Somehow, he charges it for a minute or two and calls emergency services. By then, the man has already entered the neighbor girl's apartment. From Shin's window, the inside of the room is only faintly visible. Before Shin can explain everything to the police, he sees the girl and the man becoming physically close. Until now, the man had only one S-line, but after they grow closer, more lines begin to appear above his head. A new S-line appears and connects with the girl. Realizing his mistake, Shin understands that he was wrong and immediately disconnects the call. The next day, Han returns home and notices that Seona did not go to school. When he asks her about it, Seona doesn't answer and instead asks for money. Even after Han gives her some, she asks for more, which surprises him. At that moment, he notices marks on her hands and jaw and asks what happened. However, Seona says nothing and locks herself inside her room. Feeling frustrated, Han stands on the balcony and lights a cigarette. At that moment, his colleague calls him and says that the previous night, a girl had called the police to report a suspicious man wearing a helmet. The information hadn't been released yet, so the police were confused. How did the girl know about the suspect? They tracked the call location and found out that the girl lives in the building next to Han's. That means Shin and Han are neighbors. Han immediately goes to Shin's apartment and starts calling out to him. Shin sees Han through the peephole and notices countless S-lines above Han's head, more than he has ever seen on anyone else. While Han is standing outside, a resident from the upper floor comes downstairs and tells Han that calling out is useless. The girl never opens the door unless it's for parcel deliveries. Still, Han continues calling and says that he is a police officer and has come to ask about last night's phone call. Shin opens the door slightly and explains that a man wearing a helmet had entered the neighboring building the previous night. The man's behavior made him suspicious, but later he realized the two were a couple. He apologizes for calling by mistake. Shin is still a teenager and should be attending school, so Han asks him why he is at home. Shin doesn't reply and abruptly shuts the door. That night, the helmeted man comes to Shin's building. Hearing the sound, Shin looks through the peephole. The man seems to be leaving but suddenly stops, turns back and stares directly at the door, as if he knows Shin is watching. Shin becomes terrified. Fortunately, the man leaves without causing harm. Meanwhile, Han and his colleague Dong-sik discuss the case. Dong-sik explains that the victim's ex-boyfriend, Young-min, lives in a nearby building. The emergency call had also come from that same building. Hearing this, Han asks to see Young-min's photo. The man in the photo is the same person Han saw earlier near Shin's apartment. Young-min actually lives on the floor above Shin. Han's suspicion grows. They prepare to go investigate, but Han receives a phone call and asks Dong-sik to go alone. Han heads to a hospital instead, where his father is admitted. His father has a neurological condition, and the hospital informs Han that his father is missing. Han rushes to the hospital rooftop and finds his father standing near the edge. As disturbing as it sounds, Han internally wishes his father would fall, but before anything happens, the hospital staff arrive and bring his father down. Han feels deeply disappointed. Meanwhile, Dong-sik enters Young-min's apartment and finds the door unlocked. Inside, he begins searching and notices items like ropes and a helmet, which raises serious suspicion. He quickly tries to inform Han, but Young-min returns and restrains Dong-sik. After that, Young-min puts on his helmet and glasses and leaves. Shin notices that Young-min still has only one S-line above his head. However, the previous day when he was close with the girl, he had two S-lines. An S-line only disappears when the other person is no longer alive. This confirms Shin's suspicion. Young-min is responsible. Young-min heads straight to the neighbor girl's apartment. Shin realizes that the girl is in danger. Determined to save her, he grabs a knife and rushes outside. But after staying indoors for so long, he struggles to walk properly. The outside environment feels overwhelming and he collapses. After a while, he regains consciousness and forces himself to go to the girl's apartment. There, he sees Young-min trying to end the girl's life by choking her. Shin stands there, but his body trembles uncontrollably. Young-min shows no fear. He snatches the knife from Shin's hand and stabs Shin in the stomach. By then, Han has arrived at the building. He notices a pair of black sunglasses lying outside and picks them up before entering. As he heads toward Young-min's apartment, he sees that Shin's door is open and goes inside. The room is filled with Shin's research about the S-lines, which leaves Han shocked. Han then looks toward the window and sees into the neighbor girl's apartment. He witnesses Young-min attacking her. At that moment, Shin gathers his remaining strength, rushes forward, and stabs Young-min in the leg, saving the girl. When Young-min tries to attack Shin again, Han shoots him from a distance, stopping him permanently. Before collapsing, Youngmin says one last thing. The red line is disappearing. Hearing this, Shin realizes that Youngmin can also see S lines just like him. Shin believes that the glasses Youngmin was wearing allowed him to see S lines. During the struggle, when the glasses fell from Youngmin's eyes, he became extremely restless. Later, when Youngmin's body was being taken away, Shin notices that the glasses are no longer on him. After things calm down, Han returns Shin's sunglasses that were lying outside. At that moment, Seona arrives and, seeing Shin, asks why he is wearing sunglasses at night. In reality, Shin wears sunglasses so that he doesn't have to see S lines above people's heads. After returning home, Han asks Seona how she knows Shin. Seona explains that they studied together in middle school. She also tells Han about what happened to Shin's parents. Meanwhile, Shin reflects on everything. The S lines he once considered a curse have now helped him save someone's life. This realization brings him a sense of emotional relief and satisfaction. Just then, Shin receives a message from an unknown number. The message says that the sender can also see S lines like him and asks him to come to Ark High School if he wants to talk. Shin thinks deeply about this and finally decides to return to a normal life. His room had always been messy, and he had covered every window with cardboard so that even sunlight couldn't enter. He removes all the boards, cleans the room, and organizes everything properly. At the same time, Seona goes to school and discovers that Hae-young has found a new way to bully her. Since Seona was absent the previous day, they had broken into her locker. Inside they found a love letter. Using this, Hae-young starts teasing her again. This time, Seona can't tolerate it anymore. She jumps at Hae-young and starts hitting her wildly. She also gets hurt in the process. At that moment, their teacher, Ms. Lee Eugene, enters the classroom and stops them. Eugene takes Seona to the office and explains that violent behavior is not the right way to handle things. Seona doesn't like the lecture, so she takes permission to leave early and heads home. While leaving, she notices a pair of glasses placed inside her empty locker. Out of curiosity, she takes them home. Meanwhile, Han and Dong-sik continue discussing Youngmin's case. They still can't figure out his motive. Han decides to revisit Youngmin's apartment to search for clues. There, he notices many red lines drawn on the wall. He can't understand why Youngmin had drawn them. Han then returns home. At the same time, Seona tries on the glasses. As soon as she puts them on and stands in front of the mirror, she is shocked. A red line appears above her head, but she can't touch it. She realizes that the line is invisible. Hearing Han arrive, she goes outside. When she sees countless red lines above Han's head, she panics and runs out screaming. Outside, she begins noticing red lines above almost everyone's head. Some have fewer, others have many. Slowly, she understands that these lines represent how many close relationships a person has had. Once the fear fades, she finds the whole thing strangely fascinating. The next day, she wears the glasses to school. With them, she can see how many relationships her classmates have had. She notices Hae-young and sees two S lines above her head. One of the lines is connected to someone else. When she looks closely, she realizes it is connected to their Korean language teacher, Song-jin, meaning Hae-young has an inappropriate relationship with a teacher. After that, Seona goes to class. The teacher introduces a new student to everyone. The new student is Shin. He has re-enrolled in school. After class, Hae-young once again starts bullying Seona on the rooftop. She slaps Seona, causing the glasses to fall. Calmly, Seona picks them up and puts them back on. When Hae-young tries to slap her again, Seona grabs her hand and firmly says that she will no longer give her any money. When Hae-young tries to force the issue, Shin arrives and stops her. A fight breaks out between Shin and Hae-young. Hae-young threatens to push Shin off the roof. Shin grabs her collar and calmly says that if that happens, they will both fall together. Shin knows he won't die, but Hae-young is terrified. She backs off and runs away. Although Shin helps Seona, instead of thanking him, she scolds him and tells him not to interfere in her matters again. Meanwhile, Han continues digging into Youngmin's past. In several photos, he notices Youngmin wearing glasses. But he clearly remembers that no glasses were found at the scene when the body was recovered. Han begins searching the evidence box to locate them. Earlier, Jongmin used to work as a math teacher at Ark High School, also known as CNR School. That is why Han goes there to investigate. At the school, he meets Madame Eugene. Han asks her whether Jongmin used to wear glasses or not. However, Eugene cannot give any important answer. After finishing the questioning, as Han is about to leave, Seona sees him and becomes surprised. She thinks to herself, why did he come to the school again? For the investigation, Han goes to a bar at night. Jongmin used to come there regularly. When Han asks the bartender about Jongmin, He says that Jongmin's behavior used to be normal before, but in the last few days there had been a noticeable change. He would talk to himself and stare at people while counting 1, 2, 3, 4. When asked about the glasses, the bartender says that Jongmin had been wearing a pair of glasses recently. Finally, Han gets an important piece of information. Meanwhile, after school, Siona starts following Hae-young. After some time, Hae-young secretly meets teacher Seo-jin, and they enter a lodge together. By then, Siona takes photos of the two of them. She sends the photos to Hae-young and tries to pressure her using them. However, Hae-young does not panic and says that since she is still a minor, nothing will happen to her. Any consequences will fall on the teacher instead. Hearing this, Siona feels deeply disappointed. But the very next moment, another plan comes to her mind. This time, she sends the photos to teacher Seo-jin and demands 20 million won. Panicking, the teacher scolds Hae-young at school the next day. But Hae-young remains calm and ignores the teacher before walking away. Still, questions keep running through her mind. How did Siona find out about their relationship? She decides to keep an eye on Siona. Over the next few days, Siona starts using this power to expose the relationships of several couples, creating trouble between them. Seeing all this, Sin becomes suspicious of Siona. One day, while both of them are in the washroom, Sin asks Siona why she is wearing glasses now when she never used to before. When Siona tries to lie, Sin immediately catches it and asks if she can see red lines through the glasses. Shocked, Siona asks if Sin can see them too. Sin answers yes and proves that she can actually see the lines. Under pressure, Siona admits that she found the glasses in a locker. Sin warns her, saying that these glasses are extremely dangerous. Because of them, their neighbor Jongmin lost his life. Now they should find out who made these glasses. But Siona has no interest in that. She is already happy just having the glasses, so she ignores Sin's warning and walks away. That night, Siona is spending time with her boyfriend when she receives a message from teacher Seo-jin, asking her to come to the school rooftop at midnight to collect the money. Since there is still a lot of time before midnight, Siona continues hanging out with her boyfriend. But she does not know that Hae-young is following her. In fact, Hae-young overheard the conversation between Siona and Sin in the washroom and now knows about the glasses. Finding the right moment, Hae-young steals Siona's glasses. After putting them on, she also starts seeing the S-lines above people's heads. She is enjoying this experience. Suddenly, someone hits her from behind and she loses consciousness. Meanwhile, Siona cannot find her glasses and assumes that Sin has taken them. She angrily calls Sin and scolds her, saying that she is going to the school right now, and they will settle this after she returns. After hanging up, Sin wonders why Siona would go to school so late at night and decides to follow her. By then, Siona reaches the rooftop and sees teacher Seo-jin standing there. The teacher pleads with her, saying he does not have 20 million won to give. If the photos get leaked, his life will be completely ruined. Siona replies that when Hae-young and others used to harass her, the teacher stayed silent. Now he must understand how much pain she felt during that time. While they are talking, the teacher receives a message from his wife. Someone has already sent her the photos and exposed the relationship. Enraged, the teacher lashes out at Siona and a struggle begins. Just then, Sin arrives at the school and sees something falling from the rooftop. In the next moment, it lands right in front of her. Sin realizes that it is Siona. Sin notices that the S-line above Siona's head is still visible, which means Siona is still alive. She quickly takes her to the hospital. Soon after, Han also arrives after hearing the news. Han asks Sin why she was at the school so late at night. Sin explains that she came looking for Siona because Siona had told her over the phone that she was going to the school. Han asks what exactly happened there. Sin says she does not know everything, but she is sure of one thing: Siona did not attempt to end her own life. The next day, the incident creates a huge stir among the teachers at school. Everyone assumes that Siona could not endure the bullying and took her own life. When Sin goes to school, she notices that neither the teacher nor Hae-young has come that day. She goes straight up to the rooftop to understand how Siona fell down, but she cannot figure out anything clearly. At that moment, a girl named Kyujin comes forward and supports Sin, saying that she also believes Siona did not take her own life. The two of them walk together while talking. Suddenly, Sin sees a boy wearing glasses. She quickly takes the glasses from him to check, but they turn out to be normal glasses. Meanwhile, a teacher named Jango returns to his desk and notices a pair of glasses lying there. When he asks Kyujin about it, she says she does not know who left them there. Jango places the glasses back on the desk and focuses on his work. After some time, out of curiosity, he puts the glasses on and is left completely stunned. He can see red lines above almost all of his colleagues' heads. Confused and shaken, he wonders what all this means. Just then, Han enters the staff room to investigate Siona's case. When Jang-ho sees hundreds of red lines above Han's head, he panics and immediately removes the glasses. Han then shows Gyujin a photo of a boy and asks about him, saying that Siona was on a date with this boy the previous night. Han takes the boy in for questioning. At first, the boy denies everything, but later he admits the truth. He says that they were having a good time, but after entering a photo booth, Siona suddenly started acting strangely. She became restless, saying that she had lost something and then ran away. To verify the boy's statement, Han checks the photo booth's CCTV footage. In the footage, he sees Hae-young stealing something from Siona's bag and leaving. Han then checks all nearby CCTV cameras and finds that Hae-young walks into an alley. After that, there is no further trace of her. After school, teacher Jang-ho goes to his sister's house. Until recently, Jang-ho had been living together with a woman, and they were preparing for marriage. However, he caught her being close with another man, which led him to leave the apartment and move in with his sister. He plans to go abroad in a few days, so he wants to stay with his sister until then. This is his first time visiting her house since the wedding, and it is also his first meeting with his brother-in-law. At first, Jang-ho hesitates to stay there, but his sister reassures him, saying that her husband is usually away for weeks at a time due to business, so it will not be a problem. At that time, Jang-ho is wearing the glasses. Because of that, he notices several S-lines above his brother-in-law's head. By then, Jang-ho already understands that these lines indicate how many relationships a person has. As a result, he easily realizes the true nature of his brother-in-law. While taking the elevator down, Jang-ho notices one of his brother-in-law's S-lines connecting to someone on the 4th floor. Later, when they are going back up, his brother-in-law accidentally presses the button for the 4th floor instead of the 10th floor. At that moment, Jang-ho becomes sure that his brother-in-law is involved with someone there. Although the button for the 10th floor is pressed immediately after, Jang-ho secretly presses the 4th floor button again. When the elevator stops on the 4th floor and the doors open, he sees that the S-line is connected to a specific apartment. Still, Jang-ho does not confront anyone that day. The next day, while returning home after spending time outside with his sister and niece, Jang-ho notices a parcel lying in front of the apartment building. It does not belong to them. It was mistakenly left there for apartment number 401. So, Jang-ho goes to deliver the parcel to 401. As he reaches the door, he realizes that this is the same apartment connected to his brother-in-law's S-line. Shortly after, he sees a young woman returning home. He leaves the parcel at the door and hides nearby. The woman appears to be quite young and is talking to someone on the phone. It seems like the parcel was sent by the person she is talking to. To learn her identity, Jang-ho checks the mailbox and finds out that the woman living in apartment 401 is named Kwak Chai-rim. He then returns to his sister's apartment. That day is their mother's death anniversary, so the siblings and the niece pray together in her memory. During dinner, Jang-ho asks his sister whether she is happy in her married life. She replies that she is very happy and speaks positively about her husband. Not wanting to hurt her, Jang-ho chooses not to reveal what he knows about his brother-in-law. The next day, chaos breaks out at school. Someone uploads photos of teacher Seo-jin and Hae-young on the school website, exposing their relationship. As a result, gossip spreads everywhere. Soon after, something even more shocking happens. Teacher Seo-jin is found dead inside his car in the school parking lot. A note is found with him, stating that he had a relationship with Hae-young and that after the student-teacher relationship became public, he ended his life out of shame. However, as the investigation begins, Han starts to feel that something is not right. Han believes that this is not a suicide. The condition of the body suggests that it is about 3 days old. It is unbelievable that a body could remain inside a car in the parking lot for 3 days without being noticed. Moreover, the relationship was exposed only today, so the reason mentioned in the note does not match the timeline. Because of this, Han suspects that someone else is involved in the teacher's death. After finishing the investigation, Han is standing in front of the school. When school ends and Sin comes out, he gives her a ride in his car. On the way, Han asks how she was so sure that Siona was going to the school that night. Sin does not answer the question directly. Instead, she asks whether he noticed that Siona had been wearing glasses recently. She tells him that if he can find those glasses, she will explain everything. Saying this, Sin gets out of the car and leaves. Meanwhile, Jang-ho is following his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law enters a high-end restaurant. Jang-ho goes inside as well, sits in a corner, and watches him having dinner with the woman from apartment 401. He also sees his brother-in-law gifting her an expensive necklace. After dinner, the two of them enter a hotel room. At that moment, Jang-ho confronts him directly. He grabs his brother-in-law by the collar and asks why he betrayed his sister. The man begs for forgiveness and promises that he will end the relationship that very day and live properly with Jang-ho's sister. Jang-ho gives him a final warning and leaves. The next day, Jang-ho has a flight to Canada. After saying goodbye to his sister, he goes to school. After finishing his farewells there, he waits to head to the airport. Out of curiosity, he checks Chaerim's social media profile. He sees a photo of the necklace that his brother-in-law gifted her. Then he comes across another post that shocks him. Chaerim claims that she is pregnant. Enraged, Jang-ho runs back toward the apartment to confront his brother-in-law. When he reaches the building, he sees chaos unfolding. His sister is repeatedly crashing her car into Chaerim's car. Jang-ho rushes forward and tries to calm his sister down. At that moment, his brother-in-law arrives as well. Surprisingly, instead of going to his wife, he goes straight to Chaerim and asks if she is okay. Seeing this, Jang-ho loses his temper and punches his brother-in-law. His sister stops him and tells him not to fight. After the man takes Chaerim inside, Jang-ho's sister tells him the truth. She says that the man is not actually her husband. Chaerim is his real wife, and she herself has been living with him under those conditions all this time. Hearing this, Jang-ho is left speechless. In trying to protect his sister, he ended up hurting her even more. Meanwhile, Han keeps reading teacher Seo-jin's note again and again. Suddenly, a thought strikes him. If Siona had tried to end her own life, there should also be a note from her. He rushes to Siona's house and starts searching her room. Although he does not find any note, he discovers a notebook filled with sketches of people, with many red lines drawn above their heads. Han takes the notebook to Sin and asks whether those lines can be seen through a special pair of glasses. Sin admits that these lines are called S-lines. The number of lines represents how many people someone has been involved with, and the total count can be seen through the glasses. However, Sin explains that she was born with this ability and does not need any glasses to see them. At first, Han finds it hard to believe, but seeing Sin's confidence, he cannot completely dismiss it. A few days pass. Sin falls asleep while sitting in class. Ever since Siona's accident, she has been in a coma. In her dream, Sin sees the S-line above Siona's head slowly fading away, and Siona dying. Shocked, she wakes up suddenly. After class ends, her friends Jun Seon and Kim Jin ask why she fell asleep in class. Sin explains that she recently took a part-time job at a hotel reception, and because she works at night, her body feels exhausted. At school, discussions about Siona, teacher Seo-jin, and Hae-young have mostly faded away, and everything seems to have returned to normal. A teacher named Miss Young makes a mistake in a file, and a senior teacher scolds her harshly. An interesting thing is that Mi-sung also has a pair of glasses that can show S-lines. When she looks at this senior teacher, she sees that the woman has never been involved with anyone. She is surprised to realize that such people still exist. Later, Miss Young goes back to her desk and vents her frustration by repeatedly pressing a stapler until the pins get damaged. Whenever she feels stressed or angry, she does this. During lunchtime, Miss Young is eating in the cafeteria with other staff members when the music teacher enters. He is extremely handsome and everyone immediately starts whispering about him. Miss Young remains quiet, but deep inside, she has a strong liking for the music teacher. Miss Young dreams of becoming an actress, but she does not have enough space at home to practice acting. Even making a little noise causes people around her to react angrily. That is why she goes to a hotel every day She booked room number 206. After that, she spent the entire night practicing her acting alone and returned home in the morning. Miss Young used to visit the same hotel where Shin worked. So, like any other day, Miss Young went to the hotel again, took the key to room 206 from the reception, and went inside. That day, John Sung and Kyung Jin had come to meet Shin. They were sitting at the reception behind the inner curtain with Shin. Everyone was coming in pairs, but this woman had arrived alone. Out of curiosity, Kyung Jin leaned forward to look at her. When he saw Miss Young, she looked familiar, but since she was in disguise, he could not recognize her as their teacher. Inside the room, Miss Young lay down heavily on the bed and began practicing her acting by delivering dialogues. In the morning, Shin, Kyung Jin, and John Sung were standing on the rooftop when they saw Miss Young walking down the street. This time, Kyung Jin recognized her. She was their school teacher. Meanwhile, Han was closely investigating Shin's details. He even found the case file of Shin's parents. After learning about what had happened to them, Han's doubts were cleared, and he felt reassured. Shin had indeed told him the truth about the S-line. When Han met Shin, he asked whether there was an S-line visible above Siona's head. Although Shin did not want to violate anyone's privacy, Han understood that Siona did have an S-line. So he asked Shin again who Siona's S-line was connected to. Shin replied that she did not know who it was connected to, but she was certain it was not connected to anyone from their school. Han suspected that perhaps Siona's boyfriend might have been responsible for her death. After returning home, Shin lay down and watched the news on TV. She saw that another murder had occurred in the city, and the culprit had been caught. But as the criminal was being taken away, there was no sign of regret in his eyes. He was wearing glasses and was staring above people's heads with a strange smile. Seeing this, Shin realized that the murderer was also wearing the glasses that could see S-lines. That meant there were many copies of those glasses. The next day, after school ended, Shin was about to leave when John Seon asked her to go out with him. John Seon secretly liked Shin, although Shin did not fully realize it. Still, she agreed to go with him. John Seon took Shin to a swimming club. Standing in front of the pool, he asked her if she knew how to swim. Shin replied that she did not. A moment later, she suddenly jumped into the water. When Shin did not come up for a while, John Seon panicked and jumped in as well. Seeing this, Shin started laughing. After a long time, she was finally able to laugh freely from her heart. After coming out of the water, Shin was soaked, so John Seon took off his sweater and placed it over her shoulders. After that, the two of them sat together and ate ramen. While eating, Shin told John Seon about her ability to see S-lines. John Seon did not react at all. Shin was surprised because John Seon completely believed her. When Shin returned home, she felt something strange. She could not get John Seon out of her mind. Thinking about him again and again made her feel shy. The next day, Shin went to her duty as usual. Miss Young also came to the hotel again just like every day. This hotel was her safe place. Here she could do whatever she wanted. It was in room 206 that she had found the glasses. Another interesting thing was that there was a hole in the wall of this room, through which the neighboring room could be seen. Couples often came there and got close, and Miss Young enjoyed watching. From the sounds coming from the next room, she realized that someone had come again today. When she looked through the hole, she was shocked. It was her crush, the music teacher. Seeing him made Miss Young extremely happy. But soon, another woman entered the room and became intimate with the music teacher. Seeing the person she liked with someone else completely disturbed Miss Young. She could not accept it at all. As the woman was leaving, she said that she would come again tomorrow. Miss Young heard that too. So she booked her room for a few more days. The next day, before the woman arrived, Miss Young made a plan. She mixed sleeping medicine into the music teacher's water bottle and waited for the woman with a metal cylinder in her hand. As soon as the woman arrived, Miss Young struck her on the head with the cylinder and tied her hands, feet, and mouth in her own room. After that, she dressed up like the woman and went to the music teacher's room. However, as soon as the teacher saw Miss Young, he recognized her and tried to ignore her and leave. At that moment, Miss Young threw the stapler she was holding at the teacher, and it hit the back of his head. By then, the effect of the sleeping medicine had also started, and he lost consciousness. Miss Young brought the music teacher onto the bed and tried to get close to him. But then she noticed that the bed was getting soaked with blood. The stapler strike earlier had injured his head, and blood was continuously flowing from the wound. Even then, Miss Young climbed on top of the teacher and began moving wildly to satisfy her inner desire. But at one point, the music teacher died. This left Miss Young with deep regret. She lay down in the bathtub and began repeatedly injuring her own body with the stapler. A little later, Shin was passing by that side. Hearing noises coming from room 206, she rushed there and found the music teacher's girlfriend tied up. After removing the cloth from the girl's mouth, the girl told Shin everything. Shin immediately ran inside and saw the music teacher lying lifeless on the bed, and Miss Young collapsed on the floor. When the police were called, Han came to investigate. Shin told Han that Madam Miss Young might also have possessed the glasses that reveal S-lines. She said she had seen similar glasses on her eyes. She believed that this incident may also have happened due to the influence of those glasses. The most dangerous thing about the glasses was that whoever wore them started to feel extremely special, and that sense of being special slowly distorted them mentally. However, no glasses were found at the scene. So that night, Han returned alone to the hotel room. After draining all the water from the bathtub, he found a pair of glasses there. Wearing the glasses, Han stood in front of the mirror and, for the first time, saw the S-lines above his own head. He stared at his reflection in complete shock. From that moment on, Han also began to see the S-lines above everyone's heads. On the night of Siona's accident, Han brought the boy she had been dating to the hospital to find out whether there had been any inappropriate relationship between them. But it turned out that Siona's S-line was not connected to the boys. This confirmed to Han that nothing physical had happened between them that night. Meanwhile, Shin and Junseon were chatting. Shin's birthday was on the 1st of November and they were talking about that. At that moment, Shin received a message from an unknown number. The message wished her a happy birthday and said, "I can see the same world that you can see. So come to the school rooftop on your birthday night." Shin was very surprised after reading the message. On the other hand, a girl named Gina from Shin's school came to the police station with a complaint. She said that last week she had gone to her friend Hanyu's house to drink. At some point while drinking, she lost consciousness. After regaining awareness, she felt that something very wrong had happened to her. Gina was asked whether she had any previous intimate experience. She shook her head and said no. This made Han suspicious, because through the glasses he could see 4 S-lines above Gina's head. Yet Gina was claiming she had no prior experience, which meant she was not telling the truth. The next day, Han went to the school with Dongsik to investigate. There he first met Madame Jaejin. Han noticed that there was not a single S-line above Jaejin's head. After exchanging greetings, Han said he wanted to meet a boy named Hanyu. When Hanyu was informed, Han began questioning him. Han noticed that there was only 1 S-line above Hanyu's head. When Han mentioned Gina's complaint, Hanyu completely denied the incident. Since they were at school, they did not push the matter further and left. While leaving, Han ran into Shin. Seeing the glasses on Han's face, Shin immediately realized that they were the special glasses. She became very angry and said that the glasses were extremely dangerous and asked him to give them to her. However, Han made various excuses and refused to hand them over. The two began arguing. At that moment, Madame Jaejin arrived, so Shin left angrily. Han then said goodbye to Jaejin and was about to leave. At that time, Jaejin could see the S-lines above Han's head with her naked eyes. This meant that, like Shin, Jaejin also had the strange ability to see S-lines. After school ended, Gina and Hanyu were brought to the station and questioned separately. Hanyu showed them the messages from Gina, which made it clear that Gina herself had shown interest and gone to Hanyu's house. However, Gina had deleted those messages from her own phone. This made Han even more certain that Gina was lying. Moreover, the clothes Gina had worn on the day of the incident had already been washed by her mother. Otherwise, evidence could have been collected from them. Since there was no proof against Hanyu, he was allowed to leave. As Hanyu was leaving, Han observed both him and Gina. Even when they were close to each other, their S-lines did not connect. This made Han completely sure that Gina had made a false accusation. As a result, he decided to dismiss the case. After finishing his work, Han was returning home when Shin called out to him and asked why he had gone to her school that day. Han explained that Gina from Shin's school had accused Hanyu of serious misconduct, but their S-lines did not connect. He also mentioned that Gina already had 4 S-lines above her head, which made him suspect that she was lying. Hearing this, Shin said that Gina was in her class, and until a week ago, there had been no S-line above Gina's head. Hearing that, Han realized that something was clearly wrong. Because of this, he immediately took Dongsik and headed straight to Hanyu's house. Using the excuse of interrogation, Han carefully observed Hanyu's room. After coming out, he began searching through the apartment's clothing trash bins. Inside one of the bins, he found something wrapped in plastic. When he opened it, he saw that it was a bedsheet. Han immediately sent it for forensic testing. Dongsik asked where the idea of searching for a bedsheet came from. Han explained that he had noticed everything in Hanyu's room was neatly arranged, except the bedsheet, which did not match the rest of the bed. This raised his suspicion. Since Hanyu had thrown the bedsheet away, it meant he was definitely trying to hide something. However, Han still could not understand why the S-lines between the two of them were not connected. A few days later, after the DNA report arrived, they called Hanyu again for questioning. As usual, Hanyu denied everything. Then he was asked how Gina's blood ended up on his mattress. Hanyu had already prepared an answer. He said it might have happened if Gina's nose had bled while sleeping, or it could have been due to a natural physical reason. Since his explanation sounded logical, they still could not present strong evidence against him. This time, Han and Dongsik started checking the CCTV footage from that day. In one clip, Hanyu was seen entering with 4 of his friends. In another clip, those 4 friends were seen leaving. From this, Han realized that all 4 of them were involved. Meanwhile, Shin was at school. Gina was walking past her and entering the classroom, and at the same time, those 4 boys were coming down the stairs. Shin noticed that Gina's S-lines were now connected to all 4 of them. She immediately understood that these 4 boys were responsible for what had happened to Gina that day. Shin quickly called Han, but by then Han had already reached the place. After that, all four of them were taken in for questioning. After intense pressure, they finally confessed. They admitted that all four of them had harmed Gina together. However, the main mastermind was Hanyu. He had arranged everything for them in exchange for money. He claimed he did not directly take part, but he had taken pleasure in watching their actions. After their confession, Hanyu was also taken in. From his house, a small bottle of substances was recovered, which had been used to make Gina lose consciousness. Altogether, the crime was finally proven. However, before Han could even process solving this case, he faced another serious problem. He was informed by the hospital that his father was missing. Han checked the hospital footage and saw someone taking his father out of the hospital. Shockingly, that person was Madame Jiajin. At the same time, Han received a photo of Siona on his phone. Seeing the photo, Han rushed to the hospital where Siona was admitted. Fortunately, Siona was still there. At that moment, Han noticed that Siona's S-line was connected to someone. A few moments later, Han's father entered the room. Han was shocked, wondering how his father had come there. But his shock turned into horror when he saw that Siona's S-line was connected to his own father. Han finally understood the truth. His own father was responsible for what had happened to Siona. Han's anger reached its peak, and he lost control and struck his father. He could not believe that someone could do something like this to their own granddaughter. But this was the harsh reality. Meanwhile, a girl named Junhee was working at a coffee shop when she received a video on her phone. It was actually a private video involving her. Seeing it, she was completely shaken. The next day, when she went to college, she realized that the video had already spread everywhere. Out of shame, she returned home. The social humiliation drained her will to live. She started walking toward the road, thinking of ending everything. Just as she was about to step into danger, Madame Jiajin stopped her. She then gifted Junhee a pair of glasses that could show us lines and told her that these glasses would change her life and help her see the world differently. This clearly showed that Jiajin was distributing these glasses to people. On the other side, Shin was sitting by the roadside. At midnight, it would be her birthday. She wanted to celebrate this day with Jun Seon. After a while, when Jun Seon arrived, they went to a hotel together. Neither of them had any prior intimate experience. Since they genuinely liked each other, Shin decided that her first close moment would be with Jun Seon, and the two became close. After that, an S-line appeared above Shin's head and connected with Jun Seon's. After spending some happy time, they were returning home. Jun Seon went to buy a cake, leaving Shin behind. Shin felt bored alone, so she stood in front of the glass and looked at the S-line above her head. Suddenly, she noticed that her S-line was fading away. At that moment, she heard a loud noise nearby. She ran over and saw Jun Seon lying there, badly injured, with the cake fallen beside him. While returning with the cake, a heavy billboard had fallen from above onto his head. The metal rods attached to it pierced his body, leaving him fatally injured. Shin sat beside Jun Seon and began to cry. The hands with which she had just shown him affection were now covered in blood. After the initial shock passed, Shin remained sitting there alone, overwhelmed by what had just happened. She was crying when a video suddenly arrived on her phone. In the video, it could be seen that someone had restrained her friend's cousin. Along with the video, there was a message wishing Shin a happy birthday and asking her to come to the school's boundary room. Shin immediately called Han and asked for help. A short while later, both of them arrived at the school. They split up and began searching for Kyungjin. Shin found Kyungjin tied up inside a room and managed to rescue her. However, a problem arose when they tried to leave. Every time they went down the stairs, they ended up on the same floor again. It was clear they were trapped inside a loop like a maze. With no other option, they headed straight to the rooftop. At the same time, something similar was happening to Han. So Han also went up to the rooftop. But the moment he reached there, he entered a strange and unfamiliar world. This world was known as the world of glasses. Everyone there was wearing glasses and standing in a line. Standing in front of them was Junhee. Junhee was narrating the story of her life to everyone present. When she first received the glasses, many S-lines appeared in her mind, constantly reminding her of her painful past. Because of this, she began eliminating the people she had once been emotionally connected to, one by one. As those people disappeared, the number of S-lines in Junhee's mind started to decrease. Seeing this brought her an intense sense of satisfaction. There was only one person left. That person was covered with a sheet in front of her. Junhee removed the sheet and in a single move, ended his life, then began laughing uncontrollably. All of this was happening right in front of Han. Soon after, Madame Gyujin appeared before everyone. Another person was lying on a table, and that person turned out to be Han's father. Han rushed forward to save him, but Eugene told Han that if he wanted to save Seona, he would have to end his own father's life. Saying this, she placed a knife in Han's hand. Instead of obeying, Han tried to attack Eugene. But Eugene tightly grabbed his hand, took the knife away and pushed him aside. After that, she ended Han's father's life. Han then began firing at Eugene, but even after all the bullets were exhausted, nothing happened to her. She walked toward Han, grabbed him by the throat and lifted him into the air. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, Kyungjin's behavior suddenly changed. Shin noticed that Kyungjin was taking a pair of glasses out of her pocket and putting them on. Shin asked where she got those glasses. Kyungjin replied that Madame Eugene had given them to her. When Shin tried to take the glasses away, Kyungjin attacked her instead. During the struggle, Shin managed to remove the glasses and throw them away, eventually breaking them. The moment the glasses shattered, Kyungjin returned to normal. She could not even remember why she was on the rooftop. During the fight, Shin's cheek was slightly injured. Strangely, the drops of blood did not fall downward but instead floated upward. Shin stared at them in shock. As she kept watching, she was suddenly transported into the world of glasses. There, she saw Eugene holding Han by the throat. Shin screamed at her to let him go, but Eugene threw Shin aside. Han lost consciousness. Eugene then spoke to Shin, saying that Shin had always wondered why she was born with such a strange ability and had considered it a curse. Today, she would finally learn the true purpose of her birth. Her power was not a curse but a blessing meant to help everyone. Saying this, Eugene moved to strike Shin with a knife. But before it could reach her, a woman stepped in front of Shin and was injured instead. Shin realized that the woman was her mother. Her mother was also a wearer of the glasses. Shin's mother explained that she did not discover Shin's father and aunt's relationship through Shin's drawings. Instead, she herself had a pair of similar glasses, which allowed her to see the S-lines between them. She told Shin not to blame herself for what happened. After saying this, Shin's mother passed away. As Shin stood up, Eugene stabbed her in the stomach. Shin's blood once again began floating upward. At Eugene's gesture, Shin was lifted higher into the air. The blood gathered and formed a red spiral. Once all the blood was gone, Shin lost consciousness. Eugene laughed and said that in exchange for Shin's life, the people of the world would now gain a special power. With this power, everyone would be able to see S-lines with their naked eyes. At Eugene's signal, the red spiral exploded and spread across the sky. At that moment, Shin regained consciousness and stabbed Eugene in the stomach. Even then, Eugene laughed and said that Shin was too late and that she had already completed her mission. With those words, Eugene finally died. As soon as Eugene died, all the people wearing glasses returned to normal and began running around in panic. Han also regained consciousness. Within moments, they returned to the normal world. As they walked outside the school, they saw S-lines spread across the entire sky. People stood still, staring upward in confusion, wondering what was happening. Within moments, they too gained the ability to see S-lines, creating a state of fear and chaos. Soon, however, people began adapting to this new reality. To hide their identities, many started wearing masks and helmets, because seeing S-lines revealed a person's character. Shin once wanted to live in a normal world. She was the only one who could see S-lines, which made her feel abnormal. But now that everyone could see them, this world felt normal to her. By then, Seona had fully recovered and returned to school. Her relationship with Han had also improved. One day, Shin went to Junseon's memorial to place flowers. After all, Junseon was her first love. As Shin stood there, someone suddenly called her name. At first, she thought it was just her imagination. But her name was called again and again, even though no one was visible. Suddenly, Eugene appeared close to Shin's shoulder and called her name once more. With this moment, the story of the series comes to an end. After watching the series, what do you think? Is the power to see S-lines truly a blessing or is it a curse? We are waiting to hear your thoughts. Share your opinion in the comment box. We will return soon with another new presentation. Until then, take care.